All right, so my name is Dean Lowry. I am the membership chairperson for the National Depression Glass Association, but I'm not here to talk to you about that today. I'm here to talk about Indiana's Moderne Classic line. I'm going to give you a little history of Indiana Glass. The Indiana Glass Company started in 1907, and it had been, before that it had been the Beatty Brady Glass Company in the same factory, which was part of the National Combine. That national company went bankrupt, so the factories kind of split up, and a group of people in Dunkirk, Indiana, which Dunkirk is northeast of Indianapolis, probably about an hour and a half, and I am a native Hoosier, so that's hence my interest in Indiana glassware. So they started the company in 1907. So it really was in business as a company for about 100 years. I believe they closed the factory in Dunkirk about 2005. I actually happened to get up there about 2008, 2009 when they were tearing the factory down. So I saw the factory come down. As I said, because I'm a native Hoosier, I'm interested in things that are made in my home state. So this is not, Indiana's not my only, there were lots of glass factories in Indiana that I collect as well. And with the Indiana Glass Company, I will tell you that, in my opinion, it gets a bad rap, okay? I will say, I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a well-known glass author that for many, many editions of his book used to talk about the poor quality of some of Indiana's glassware. And you know what? For the patterns he was talking about, that's true. They were made in the Depression era, and quality control was not as it should have been. But when you look at some of these pieces right here, a little bit better quality than they were given credit for. And again, Indiana was a factory that really tried to meet with the times. There's a pattern that's, I don't have displayed here, but it's called Old English from the mid to late 1920s. And they fire polished it. It's great, good quality glass. So they really did do that. Now, Moderne Classic here, very true Art Deco design. And that's the other thing. This was all done in the factory in Dunkirk. They don't often get credit for that. Many people assume that they just did mold pressed glassware. Well, that's not true. They did have a decorating room. I was fortunate enough about 10 years ago to get to speak to a woman who worked in the decorating room of the factory. She could tell me all kinds of things about it. She was a volunteer at the museum that they have in Dunkirk for their glass company. So it was really great to meet somebody like that. Moderne Classic, well, let me talk about their decorations. And I have some of these. I don't have enough for everybody, but I've got some that I can pass around. These come not from a catalog, but from a price list. So these are slightly different. You want to take and pass it. There's different ones, and I'll start these over here. Just kind of pass them around. If you don't get one, hopefully somebody will pass them around for you. These are from price guides. There are two different ones. They're price guides from 1938 and 1939. And here's the big problem with these price guides. All you get is a description of what the decoration was. So with this Moderne Classic, I can guess. I don't know for sure. Some of them, like this one that I've got right here in my hand, decoration number 1 is a gold dragon. And I've got some pieces with the gold, with an etched gold overlay dragon that Indiana did. Number 2 is a platinum dragon. Same thing, except with platinum. So some of them you can figure out. So you just have to kind of work. Now, with the Moderne Classic, if we want to look at what line is what, we're going to have to find a true catalog that showed the decorations so we would have an idea. And those, I haven't seen any in the years that I've been collecting. So that's what makes this kind of frustrating. I know that all these wares were made in Indiana because I know the line numbers. And here's the other thing. With Indiana, they're all different glass patterns, but they've taken from them, and we'll talk about that, they've taken from those and added the decorations to them, okay? So I'm gonna try to talk. I'll talk as long as y'all are interested, but when I laid this out, I started with a decoration. Decorations were similar here, worked all the way to the end, so we'll kind of talk about some of them. Some of these first ones right here are what I called Dart. So you see with this is a number 602 rolled edge console bowl, so that's why I call it Dart. You see that? This is with the Modern Classic line. The true indication of it is that it's two-tone enamel. So here we've got yellow and white, and it's got gold or platinum. In this case, it's platinum highlights added to it. So, and here, this console bowl is slightly different. Okay, different kind of a dart. They've done the platinum in a different way. Now, so let's talk about some of the color combinations. Okay, so I held up yellow and white. We've got red and white. We have a light green and white. Let's see, I guess that's all we have here. But, so these are the dart patterns, as I'm calling them. Like I said, I don't know. And I will point out, some of my pieces, you can tell they were used. This is a vase. As you see, part of the enamel has been worn away. But that's okay. I had seen one on eBay and they wanted a lot of money for it, and it wasn't in any better shape. I found this at an antique mall in Houston when I lived down there. So, and oh, somebody did ask, where have I found most of this glass? A lot of it's come off of eBay, okay? But I do find some of it. Like I said, this came from an antique mall in Houston. And as I'm going along, if you do have any questions about that section that I'm talking about, please feel free to ask, okay? We're gonna leave the dart pattern. This one's kind of like a grid pattern, okay? So when you look at it, this one's a light green and white, but you see the grid that they put in there, and then they emphasize that with the platinum bands that they put inside. It shows up a little better, even though this one's kind of worn on this console bowl. Yes? It's a covered candy dish. This is one I don't remember the line number to, but it is Indiana. I've got some old catalogs at home that I think it's 604, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. I know 602, and okay, I should point out 602. Their 602 pattern is a basic octagon shape. There are a couple of pieces that have 10 sides. Most of them, I don't know that I have one. Maybe this handle plate back here. Let's see. This one has 10 sides, so this is the only piece of 602 that has 10. Most of them have that. When you start talking about that, other companies like Imperial, they did octagon shapes. Cambridge did as well. The clue with Indiana's, between the sections there's a little double ridge, and you'll see that with 602. Okay? Kind of interesting little Mayo set. that I found. This is the only example of this color combination that I've had, this brown and yellow. Okay, and again, this was a piece I found in an antique mall in Mooresville, Indiana. I will talk about this. Most of the sugar and creamers that you find like this, they are Indiana. You know that by the decoration. I will tell you, this is their 257 line. Creamer and sugars, that's all they did in 257. Westmoreland did the same one. It's their 1011 line. The decoration tells me it's Indiana. Westmoreland did different decorations. Westmoreland also didn't do yellow that I'm aware of. If you find it in yellow, and I've got lots of examples of the 257 line. We've got some different colors up here with this section. This one right here, only piece I've ever seen with this teal, aqua color, and white. And this light blue and white. Again, I've not found anything else with this. This is one of my center-handled servers, are one of my favorite pieces to collect. I have probably about 70 of them, all made with different decorations on them, not just Modern Classic. So let's talk about this. This is a candy jar in the 604 pattern, and you see that the platinum is on top, the enamel is underneath. You really see that in the foot, in the bottom, where this is kind of dull, but when you open it up, nice and bright and clean because of how they did the enamel. All right, everybody good so far? Okay, all right, so now we're gonna talk about the leaves, I guess you'd call them. Again, this is kind of a different color combination. We haven't seen this one yet. This is orange and cream, okay? Orange and ivory, I think, is what the company called the color, actually. And so I actually have a console set with this because I have 603 candlesticks. The difference between 603 and 604 is there are no ridges in the octagon shape in 603. Okay. We also see a basket for this one. These are two of my favorite pieces, the baskets that I have. This is actually a 602.5 pattern. I refer to it as the square pattern because there are only 4 sections to it. But again, it's got that double ridge between each section. So we know that it's Indiana. So again, this decoration, it's leaves, it's probably more of a sprig of a leaf kind of thing, with the 2 bands on either side. And again, I think this is one of the prettiest pieces. This is a 602.5 cake plate. Nice, big, heavy piece. Now, I will tell you, in most instances, Indiana's platinum lasts better than their gold. So I've got some gold pieces I'll show you here in a bit where the gold is almost worn. The platinum holds up really well. I don't know what they did different to it, or what the consistency is between platinum and gold that makes that happen, but that's just kind of the way it is. Well, this is, again, they take it from very different lines. This is Indiana's number 607. Collectors typically call it double fleur-de-lis. And you can see the gold is almost gone on this piece. Okay, just didn't hold up very well at all. And here's a better example. This is a different kind of a leaf design on this one. Now, this one is totally different. This is the only piece I have, I think, yes, with this kind of a leaf on it. And then here's another one, a water lily. Okay, this one's not easy to find. I've only got two pieces. This tall-footed comport from the 603 line, or 604 line, I'm sorry. And then I have the top to a candy jar. I've seen this with a red bottom, but I've never been able to get a hold of one. Again, that's one that's kind of eluded me. All right. Let's see, what else? Okay, so now we're going to talk about, this one's kind of a double, kind of a fleur-de-lis design, okay? Or a trefoil, I don't know, whatever you'd like. This is a 602.5 rose bowl, okay? So, and if you look at a catalog from Indiana, there's one page with this shape, the cake plate that I showed you earlier, and about 7 different shapes, and they're all shape A, shape B, shape C, shape D. So it's the same piece of glass, and after they get it out of the mold, they form it into whatever shape they want while it's still warm. All right. So this is a different kind of design. This is a cake plate I found in a big antique mall in Houston. Had the cake plate and these 2 candlesticks. These are the only pieces I've ever seen with this design on it. Now, here, going back to this design, you see it's a dark green rather than a light green. And unfortunately, this one's been well used, you can see. And it's okay to me, not a big deal. And I think this is the last of the leaf kind of designs. Again, this is the only one I've ever seen with this design. And this may be the only example I have of orange and white. Most of the others are the orange and ivory that I've seen. Okay, so now we're going to kind of go into, I don't know what to call these, maybe swirls, I don't know. Here's a 602.5, or 602 handled plate. And you see how the platinum is kind of swirled away. And this is a neat set. This is the only sugar and creamer I've ever seen that's not a 257 line. This is Indiana's 607 double fleur-de-lis pattern. But this is the only one I've ever seen. Actually, a friend of mine from Utah who is a sugar and creamer collector saw this on Etsy and sent me the link so I could get it. She's like, I don't want it, so I thought you'd enjoy it. So, her name is Shelly Jurgensen, probably one of the best people for sugars and creamers in the country, so she knows quite a bit about them. So she was nice enough to send me that. Now, we get kind of a new color here, and this is an instance where the platinum didn't hold up very well, because it's now a darker blue and white. I've got it on the candlesticks here, okay? So just a very nice color combination, the dark blue and white. Now I'm going to talk about some oddball ones that I have one or two from. This one right here, it's the light green and ivory, and it's got gold decorations to highlight it. This is a 607 rolled edge console bowl. Believe I found this at an antique mall on the east side of Indianapolis. But again, the only time I've ever seen that decoration. Here's another floral kind of motif, and here's a new color with pink and white. Okay? Again, I've never seen this color combination before. I've never seen this decoration before. Here's, I guess, kind of a dark, but not totally. Again, I've only ever seen this in this color combination. I've actually got, I'm supposed to have candlesticks out here. I don't know where they went, but they're here someplace. So, but again, nice little console bowl. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure. It kind of fits, but an odd pattern the way they did this with the green and white. I've seen it in green and white. I've got a center-handled server in yellow and white, but I don't even know what to call it, but the way they put it together, it does somewhat meet the criteria for that. It's just that the colors are mixed and done in a little different way. And here's one that's a single color. It's just yellow. Okay, so does it really qualify as modern classic? I don't know. I mean, I liked it, I bought it, so. Again, different decoration. I've never seen it before. And kind of a different color. It's not a true red. It's almost like a burgundy and ivory. So, now the last piece that I have up here is really not part of Modern Classic, but it does have some of the same elements with the two-tone colors, but they've added another decoration, and the decoration is listed on one of your sheets. Parrots or lovebirds, I think is what they call it. So it is very definitely an Indiana line. This is on a 607 rolled edge bowl. So like I said, this is out there. You don't see it very often. I can think, I've been coming to NDGA convention since Waxahachie, which was 10 years ago, something like that. I think I bought a piece of Modern Classic once in all those times I've been coming to a show. Some of the dealers know what it is, and hopefully after they watch we have one dealer that was able to two that were able to sneak away to see, so maybe they can be on the lookout. So, all right, so are there any questions? Yes?
That bowl that's got the dark green, it looks like the contrasting color is light green, not white. Right there. Yeah, is that just an optical?
Well, you may be right. I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't know if yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's worn or what. So this one is tough to say. You could be right. I mean, what I found with talking and researching some of the decorations they did, sometimes they just did whatever the decorators wanted to do. And so that's why you have some odd pieces that show up. So this very well could be. Maybe they took the white and added a little green to it to make it a light green. I don't know. Yes?
This is one of my favorite lines, so I tend to collect it. But I always have a question about like how far I should go on the worn pattern. Like, Is it
That-
a personal decision?
I think it's a personal decision. I mean, you're not going to pay as much money. I mean, her question was, how far do you go with a worn pattern? Okay. This one has the most wear of any that I have, and again, I didn't pay much money for it. Okay, and like I said, I saw one up on eBay. They wanted a lot of money for it with this much wear, and I wasn't going to do that. As a collector of decorated glassware like this, if the decoration is worn, I'm not going to want to pay as much money. So really, it's a personal. I bought it because it was cheap, and it's an interesting shape. This is an Indiana vase. I've got catalogs with it in it. I just can't remember the number off the top of my head. So, I mean, it's just going to be personal preference.
What years cover this line?
Probably 1930s, maybe into the 1940s, but that's kind of a stretch. Again, we're not sure. Until we get some real definitive catalog information. Like I said, I know this was done by Indiana, but there's not a lot of information about it out there. Yes. They probably purchased them through a store. This is not, I mean, some Depression wear, as you know, was done. There were giveaways for various things. This line was probably not done that way.
Did you bring any of your dragon?
I did not. I did not bring I have, with the dragon decoration, I've got a platinum dragon console set, so a bowl and candlesticks. And I've got, with the gold, I've got 607 nice big console bowl with the gold dragon on it. And that's really all I have. The dragon is kind of hard to find. So.
What would be a fair price for some of this stuff? Like, just give me an example of, say, that basket.
I probably paid, I have seen these for up $100, $150 if the decoration is good. I mean, again, to me, that's going to be the real determination. If the decoration is good, I'd pay that much money for it.
Is there any books out on this particular?
There is only one book that has shown.
Did you write it?
I did not write it, no. I did not write it. Craig Schenning had a listing for this in his first book, 100 Years of Indiana Glass. Nice, good starter book, but Craig actually found out that there was too much to put in one book, so he has put out, the first book is out already. It's Indiana EAPG, Early American Pattern Glass book. Very good book. The second book on the Depression years is supposed to be coming out. I supplied Craig with lots and lots of pictures for that book, but I don't know when it's coming out. I have contemplated writing a book about decorations because I have lots of decorated Indiana is my thing, so I have lots of it, you know, so.
What is the rarest, or one of the 2 or 3 rarest decorations?
Well, I think when you talk about that, you've got to talk about the odd colors.
Yeah.
I mean, so the light blue, the teal, I mean, that's what it is. You see the orange, you see the red, you see the
Yellow.
all of that a lot. So I think you've got to talk about colors. And then again, as I said, these ones with odd decorations. I mean, you see, some of these you see quite frequently. Like This one right here. Or this one right here, you see this quite frequently. So it's a combination of things. For me, I think the biggest one is color. But again, that's kind of hard to say. And part of the problem too is that, okay, we've got one other collector of it here. So I don't know enough. I don't know that people know enough about the line to be able to know what's really out there to find. So, yes.
What other,
I'll come back to you. Okay, yes.
what other lines of Indiana's decorated glass have you used?
No, because the other decorations, she was asking what other decorated lines might they have done. You start talking about etchings, totally different from this. When you start talking about the enamel work, it looks different. One of these sheets talks about, oh, here it is. This one talks about 732 Mexican vases, 733 Mexican house, 734 Mexican pheasant. There was a pottery line that was done, and the company contracted with Indiana to add some glass pieces to it. I've got several of those decorations at home. The other one, Noritaki's azalea pattern, okay? They contracted with Indiana. Indiana did some go-along pieces, but again, that's a floral. So they did a wide variety of things. There was one, Jack Hilly was an employee at the factory. The museum in Dunkirk has a wonderful display of his work. He was a decorator. He did lots of the floral decorations. So a lot of florals, things like that. Okay, yes.
Well, I was just going to say that the pieces that you said were easier to find in this area, I don't find them. I find a lot of yellow dart and occasionally some red, but mostly it's yellow.
Right. And so, see, that goes. How did they distribute it back at that point in time? I don't know. Again, I've just kind of pieced this all together. And so, for me to say anything is just a lot of conjecture at this point in time until we find some definitive catalog information. I will tell you, I haven't seen it. I've been told. I talked to the curator at the museum in Dunkirk. When the factory closed, they did get the glass out of the morgue. They got a lot of paperwork